to Munciana Courtside, Mike Langenfelter, alongside ZZ Top, as we continue the great beard. Did get trimmed up, looking very sharp. I was really hoping he was one sharp-dressed man, ZZ Top on us. He's just he's going for the mountain man look now. Randall, I ain't shaving again in my life. Gardner.
All right, this past week, we talked about Alexander and Munciana. Seemed like Megan Miller was out of her mind good. We'll get that later, but they beat him in 3.
Megan Miller is out of her mind good. I love games like that. I like those little schools brawling away. We've been talking all day about some of the little schools, and the next couple of weeks we'll talk about the 1As, the 2As, and really identify 3 or 4 of the schools to look at in there. But Megan Miller is as well-rounded as anybody. I mean, you're talking about a kid who's looking at offers from Purdue, Kentucky, Nebraska, Ohio State, real deal. A little too much Megan Miller for Munciana, but both very, very good teams.
Yep. New Pal, a little rough week this week. They started earlier in the week versus Delta. Got beat by Delta in 3 at Delta's place.
Like I said, Delta is in the next couple of weeks is going to show you who they are.
Yep.
They're either going to be really, really good and get this thing going in the right direction, or they're just going to be, just kind of drifting with everybody else. Delta's awfully talented. I've talked about Denham and Tom Blue in the face. I mean, very gifted athlete. New Pal, very good team, but Delta too much ball control, too many seasoned veterans, good kids banging away on the pins. Delta's good. I'm just anxious to see who shows up. When is Delta going to be the team that I and everybody else thought they could be? I think they're still waiting to peak, and that's a good thing.
Big battle down in the south of Indy. Let's be honest. Providence, Floyd Central, usually the kings of the South.
Yeah.
Ended up going 4. Floyd Central, I think, took the second set in a close one, but ended up losing a 4 total to Providence. I mean, we expected that just because Providence is aged and Floyd's young and everything else.
Yeah, well, Providence has just got a little too much firepower for Floyd Central, and Bart Powell and his group are probably they're reloading. It's very rare that he has to reload. Or rebuild, I should say. It's very rare that he goes through a year where he has to do that. But this is more of a rebuilding campaign for him than normal.
Yeah.
But they're still awfully good. They're one of the top teams in the state. And anytime you take a set off of Providence, much less points, I mean, you got to be happy. Providence is a little too much for them.
Yeah. Another game we talked about, we didn't really know a whole bunch about him. Greensburg, Lawrenceburg. Lawrenceburg wins in 5 in a close one. They're now 18-0 on the season.
We don't know much about Lawrenceburg, and I said that last week, and I'd like to see him. But one of the things you have to understand, 18-0 is 18-0. That's, it's hard to go 18 straight matches without a hiccup.
Yeah.
Or some kind of just flat night. So 18-0, I mean, I don't care who you're playing. Harlem Globetrotters are the only team that never lost. I mean, these guys, I got to think they're real. They're starting to put together wins. And the thing you got to like about wins, the more you win, the more you believe. The more you believe, the better you play. And there's a certain mojo that teams get going this time of year, and winning begets winning. And congratulations to Lawrenceburg. I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Player of the week. We also went with the Alexandria kid, Megan Miller, sophomore. Numbers-wise, unbelievable. Just 3 sets, 30 kills. So averaging about 10 kills in a set, which is unbelievable. 21 digs, 2 aces and 2 blocks in the 3-set win.
Maybe she sold popcorn during the breaks or, went into the stands and dished out
Probably
peanuts.
50-50 tickets.
She could have been doing a 50-50. Hell, I'm not so sure she didn't win the 50-50 that night. That's 30 kills, 10 kills in a set, 7 digs a set. The thing that's really spooky about this stat line, 30 kills is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's real, though. See, the kid is a real deal.
Yeah.
21 digs, I believe that. The one thing that really kind of shocks me is there's only 2 aces.
Yeah.
That either Munciana handled the ball really, really well, or Megan just didn't bomb away, because one of her best skill sets, other than really passing and defense, maybe their serve. She's got as lethal a toppy jump serve as there is in the state, and only 2 aces. But That's like complaining that you're only dating a supermodel. I mean, complaining about 2 aces. I'll take that. That's 30 kills, 21 digs, 2 aces, 2 blocks in 3 sets. Wow. Congratulations, Megan. That's a beautiful week. Keep it up. Those are numbers that, those are
now our
records.
team's at the top of 2A also.
Yeah.
See what tomorrow brings, but as of right now, they're the 2A top team. So
that's awesome.
Games of the week, so I'll let you pick the lazy boy game of the week. But overall, we have this week Floyd Central. Big matchup against Assumption. Assumption coming off a huge weekend. Went out and just beat up on the Callies and everybody else out there.
Well, the Assumption and Super Run Cordis rolled out to Durango in Vegas and won again. And beat some of the best teams in the country.
Yeah. Torrey Pines was there. I think they're number 2 in the country. So
all Assumption does is win. Whenever the stage gets big, they get bigger. That's a huge win. And the thing I like most about it is Assumption is such a great representative of this part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
But that bodes well for the Cathedrals, the Fort Wayne Carrolls, and some of the people that have either beaten or played really well with Assumption this year out of the state of Indiana. When Assumption goes out west, and because of the rules, Indiana teams can't do that. But when they travel out there and do things of that magnitude, it really tells you how good the volleyball is in this area. And so congratulations to Assumption. Floyd Central, man, are we going to pick these right now too?
Let's hold off and pick
Floyd. Okay, Floyd Central, coming off a tough loss to Providence and still trying to feel their way through this. They're still trying to figure out which way is up, and they're going to be there at the end. But that should be an interesting match. Always fun when Assumption rolls into town.
Yep. 2 other games we're going to talk about. Going to be sectional or regional opponents for the most part. I don't remember exactly if WAP and Alexandria are still in the same sectional. Like we talked about, Muncie Central is going up to Fort Wayne. Who knows? WAP, Alexandria will be one of the matchups.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Great teams. We already talked about Megan Miller, and she's not a one-man team. There's some other kids on that team that are doing some nice things. Very well-coached team, and she's a standout. She's one of those kids that, I don't know, by the time she's a senior, she's a kid that's a definite candidate for the Gatorade Player of the Year. The only thing that'll slow her down is the small school, which is unfortunate. She's unreal. Wapahani, maybe the biggest, most physical 2A team in the state of Indiana. So you got a little Megan Miller, who's 5'5"-ish, 5'6"-ish, I guess, in that area, going against really a 3, 4, 6 footers or better at Wapahani. That should be an interesting game. And it's at Alec, which should be interesting.
Yep. And the other matchup, we're talking about kind of sectionals and everything else. It's always been a big rival in the past. It's been Zionsville and HSC. I think Zionsville actually moved out of their sectional this year. Can't remember exactly, but that's always been a big rival with those guys. It's at HSC.
This is kind of neat. I said all year last year that Jason's HSE team was a year away. I continued to say that last year because he had so many good players that were a little young. They were young in certain key spots. But I thought they were coming, and you could see the culture of that program physically changing. Zionsville may be this year's HSE.
Lots of juniors and sophomores.
A lot of young kids, got some move-ins. They got a lot of things going for them. Coach could have a child on the sidelines at any point. You got like Dawn getting out there and
won the Ben Davis tournament this past weekend.
Yeah, Zionsville's good. Eisenbarger kid can flat out play. Gerard's good. I mean, Megan Carr's as good a DS/Bro as there is in the area. So Zionsville, but I still think they're a little young. But I do like that team. HSE, I've been on their bandwagon all year long. Hard-working, diligent, great staff. That should be fun.
Should be. Raymond James buying and selling this week,
which is very, very good for Raymond.
That's what I was thinking. We were putting it together.
The Tim Kuzmas of the world would like this financial this approach you're taking. Must be the beard. You're so much smarter. You just think it's better looking. I think it's an intelligence issue.
There you go. We're going to kind of, since the halfway mark on the season, we're going to kind of hit on our predictions of the start of the season. If you remember, are you buying or selling the 1A, I think we went with Christian Academy, CIA or CAI or whatever.
CIA, I like the
Not
CIA.
really sure what that
Sounds
is.
covert.
Are you buying or selling? You keeping them at the as your state champs?
For 1A at the halfway mark of the season,
Yep.
I'm staying. I'm buying.
Yeah.
Man, they got an awful lot of talent. Great coaching. Walt just coaches it up. LCC, I would have to give some thought to.
That's going to be your final. I mean, looking at it right now, your prediction, I guess.
No, I think that is your final.
Yeah.
I stay the same. I think this Lafayette Central Catholic team is coming on, but in the battle of the religious juggernauts, I still like the academy. I like the Kiva kids that are on that squad. I thought last year against Westdale they had a chance to win that match. I thought that it was just a big stage.
First time they've been there.
Yeah, and these guys were trying to fly under the radar last year, and they're doing the same thing this year.
No one's talking about it. They're like 17-1 on the year.
17.
Only loss is to a 4A school.
Seymour?
And they're rolling.
No, they're good. The only difference between them and LCC is LCC hasn't lost a game or lost a match.
Yeah.
No, I'm buying. They're still my team, but LCC is going to make it entertaining.
Yeah. We'll go 2A. We both picked Wapahani to take home the 2A. Right now, still battling some injuries, still trying to figure everything out. But like we talked about, not winning championships in September. Buying or selling?
Yeah, I tell you, you can almost sell all of 2A right now. There is no consistency in 2A, you know, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's September. I didn't say there's not good teams. I just said there's no consistency. You know, Southwood will beat on somebody, and all of a sudden I'm going, wow, they're pretty good. Then they'll lose to somebody. I'm going, what the heck? You know, Alexandria had been rolling through. Everybody gets dinged this weekend. Wapahani, you know, rolls in. I'm thinking they're the next thing to the Messiah. And then they dump some matches, and you're kind of going, I don't get it. It's all over the place. 2A is going to be enjoyable. I'm staying Wapahani. I think that they've got the variables. They just got to get the right things in place. Wapahani's got to find somebody else to terminate a ball.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying. They've found out in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, the Skylar being out with the ankle.
Skylar Van Note is a terminal player. She's back.
Yeah.
But somebody else is going to have to give them kills. Curry's going to have to kill balls. Hunt, Shuck is going to have to kill balls. Davis is going to have to come up with some kills. One of those three guys is going to have to develop into an attacker. I will tell you this, Davis, Curry, and Shuck don't develop, Wapahani will not win. One of those three is going to have to be a player. And I think they're going to have to get better. Not that they're not good. They're going to have to evolve to the next level as a player, and it means that they're going to be counted on for 8 to 10 kills a night.
Yep.
And I think that'll help them. But I stay Wapahani.
Yeah. 3A, this should be the interesting one.
See, you do this crap just so I get beat on.
The 3A, we projected Providence, and don't get me wrong, Providence is still playing it out of their mind well, you know. And we have a new arrival. We've been talking about Yorktown rolling still. Are you buying or selling the 3A state champion Providence?
I'm selling. Not because I'm worried about my house getting TP'd or my phone blowing up. I'm selling. I said it last week.
You're buying?
I'm behind Yorktown. I told you I'm never going against them again. They could be playing the Yankees. I'm going to Yorktown.
Knuckles got
to get healthy.
Yeah.
Knuckles got to get healthy. I thought you were going to say buying or selling. Knuckles is
I think
the
she's
best
a game
freshman.
time decision for tomorrow. So
They played the last couple of weeks without her. You know, in 2002 at Wapahani, we had our middle attack was all we had. We were really, really good in the middle. A kid named Allison Shaw and a kid named Erica Slusher. Erica Slusher broke her foot late in the season, and everybody thought it was over for us. What happened in the time that Erica Slusher was out was our outsides finally had to develop. They had to take more of a load on themselves. And what happened because of the injury was we evolved as a team. We started scoring points in places we hadn't before because we were comfortable throwing the ball up in the middle to Erica Slusher the whole time. Knuckles was ripping away 15, 20, 25 kills a match. She has been out now for a couple of weeks, and what's happened is all these other guys have had to pick up the load. I think Steph Bloom's team is becoming more rounded because of that rounded ankle right now, Knuckles. I believe that if they can get more significant offense from the corners of the court, the Penn kids, Darian Jackson, some of those guys. Ryan Neal, some of those guys give him more offense, less of a load on Knuckles. I think the less Knuckles has to carry, the better she's going to be. Because I'll be honest, she's killing people at the net. And I am a little surprised at that. I believe she probably is the most significant freshman in the state. Her best skill is in her offense. Her best skill still really, she handles the ball, she defends. All of those other things are what she's really good at. If you can make it so it's not as predictable, and if they have other options and she can't be honed in on, I don't know, man. I'm going Yorktown at the halfway mark. That can change. But right now I'm going Yorktown.
And like you were hitting on by Yorktown, talking with Rhonda a little bit earlier today, she said, this past weekend Neal had 10 kills, Jackson had 10 kills, Reed had 10 kills. She said she was starting to get it. Yeah, they're starting to get a balance, which she said, it's going to help her in the long run.
No,
I totally agree.
I tell you, I still love Providence. The big showdown will be the Providence fathers and their fanfare. Those guys going toe-to-toe with Scott Harrington's pants. Because now we've got something to check out in the stands. I mean, he can go toe-to-toe with anybody. The Providence guys are going to have to come up with something really bizarre to wear to top that cap because he's got the best choice of clothing in the state.
And then we have Malapit and Murr on the sidelines.
Malapit's coming out of retirement. Murr and Reed.
Reed will be taking pictures.
Yeah, you're going to have to keep those guys in your scopes. But I like Yorktown. I'm buying Yorktown. I'm selling on Providence right now.
4A, still 18-0. The Cathedral Irish, still undefeated, like you're Irish.
Yes, my Irish are undefeated. My Irish struggled down the stretch yesterday in the last minute and 30 seconds, but yes, they are still undefeated.
They are still undefeated.
But just like the Irish, I said, a couple weeks ago we talked, Notre Dame football is taking some significant blows. And you wonder how many more blows they can take. They took a couple of blows on defense in the preseason. Torian Folsom, their best running back, goes down week 1. Their quarterback goes down. Malik Zaire goes down in week 2, and they kind of group together and they piece together a pretty good unit still.
Lots of tight ends.
Their tight end's gone.
Lost a top corner this week.
Yeah, you're wondering how many injuries they can sustain before they start to show wear and tear. The reason I bring it up, Audrey Adams, great girl, what a beautiful, beautiful little girl. I'm blessed to have the opportunity to coach her. Goes down with an ACL this week in practice. That's going to hurt them from the standpoint that they're going to have to do some significant shifting. It's a team right now that had one true middle. They had a youngster, Emily Kleck, who I think is going to be really, really good. She may have to grow some wings early. But they only really, on that roster, only had one true middle. Maddie Norris was converted outside back to middle. It'll be interesting to see. Jean Kesterson will figure it out. That's the only thing I can give you. She'll figure it out. Whether it's moving Sloan into the middle, maybe it's going to a 3-middle offense because they got some kids that are good enough to do it. They're going to have to change. I guess the bottom line is they're going to have to change. Long story short, I'm buying. I'm still sold on Kendall White's leadership, Peyton White's growth. I like the Coors kid, Jensen. They just still have so much depth, good setting, great coaching. I'm still buying, but sadly it gets a little more interesting now.
And like you talked about with Whites and Smith in the backcourt, they handle the ball better than anybody. Then you had the Coors kid, which has just taken off since that Assumption game.
Oh yeah, she's good.
She's good. She was in and out of the lineup, and then all of a sudden she starts blasting the ball. She's been averaging, anywhere from 10 to 15 kills usually.
She's fun to watch.
So they got a lot of weapons. And, like you talked about, Gino figured it out. They'll keep rolling. Gear Munciana top 10. Got some honorable mentions. I threw them down there. pick and choose or take them all.
I like them all.
Yeah.
I like them all. You threw down Valpo.
Yeah.
Valpo still hasn't been really tested
Yeah.
against big timers, but 13-0. I said earlier, 13-0 is 13-0.
Yeah.
Northview 14-2. LCC 14-0. LCC is really the first 1A team to get a little bit of love in this thing. They're on the cusp, and Lawrenceburg, I'm telling you,
18-0.
you know, keep it rolling, baby. I'm going to be in Oregon all week, so I won't get a chance to get out and see you guys this week, but I will see Lawrenceburg. I coached at the University of Cincinnati, so I spent a lot of time in that Batesville, Lawrenceburg area. The casinos down there are hot, but the casinos aren't as hot as Lawrenceburg is right now. Lawrenceburg, those 4 teams are on the cusp.
Yeah.
They're good teams.
Yeah.
What a great state, man. What a great state for volleyball. We got undefeated
we're talking
teams.
3 undefeated teams that are on the board.
45-0. Those 3 teams are 45-0, and they're on the border. Yeah. Nowhere else does that happen.
No.
God love the Hoosiers.
Yeah, we're going to talk about number 10. They have officially cracked the top 10. We've been waiting patiently for the last few weeks.
The North and the South don't always get the love
No.
they deserve. I know Penn's down a little bit. Mishawaka Marion's a little up and down. Elkhart Memorial is good.
Yeah.
They're good. They're always good. Always good. They cracked the top 10. We had them down beating Norwood, Northridge, Concord, 10-1.
Yep.
I think you're going to see that team. That team's going to make a run at the state.
She
Coming
always
out-
gets
and coming out of the North, they're always a threat. Top 10 this week, and congratulations, Elkhart Memorial. They were in that honorable mention thing for a while.
a few weeks, about 4
Yeah,
weeks, I think.
I like them.
Number 9.
Concordia beat Norwell, lost to Fort Wayne Snyder. Snyder's,
Lost 15-11, I think it was.
Snyder's always crazy athletic. Like I talked about those undefeated teams, there's always hiccups. You always have a speed bump at some point you hit.
Yep.
And Concordia hit that.
They beat them early in the year.
They've got a new set.
Got beat them
Fort Wayne
twice.
Snyder running with little Lauren Jeebert running the show now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so Lauren's maybe running that show. So Snyder power, Jeebert power now. Those guys may be dangerous. I'm keeping them on the radar now as well. But Concordia drops tonight.
Yeah. Number 8, moving up a couple spots.
All they did was win. Seymour and New Albany, Columbus East took down both. Columbus East, in that part of the schedule where they're playing a lot of their southern competition. I don't know if there's enough time in the year. Columbus East is like a fine wine. If you let it age properly, it's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
If you pop that cork a little early, you're drinking vinegar, and so. I know that Stacy Upnard has got to be anxious to push this thing ahead, but maturation's maturation.
Yeah.
Aging's aging, but they're staying in the top 10, and they're 11-2. They're not like they're struggling.
Now getting into number 7, off to a great year, 18-2. I mean,
Yeah, that's slumming for Providence. 18-2. Those guys, Terry Farika's probably pulling her hair out. 2 losses. I don't know if she's lost 2 since she was in the 3rd grade, but 4 wins this week. Beating the Floyd Central is big. Floyd Central is down, but they're the big guys on the block. They're the big school.
it's like you're talking about Fort Wayne schools, Concordia. I mean, yeah, they're the big dogs, but never know.
No, the Providence 18-2 and number 7, and Providence, they're always going to be in the hunt. Like I said, I feel really pretty comfortable where Providence is going to be at the end of the year.
Yeah. All right, we got number 6.
Jackie Quaid and the girls, Fort Wayne Carroll, 18-1. And one of the things that talking to Jackie early in the season was they were close last year. I'm telling you, people don't realize how close they were. And they were in a loaded showdown with Carmel. I believe that maybe Elkhart Memorial. And they came close. Talking to Jackie, one of the things I made reference to, if you're going to get somewhere you've never been before, you got to do things you've never done. And so, she took it upon herself, leadership-wise and otherwise. Hopefully they're doing some different things. Right now, they're more significant at this stage of the game than they were all year last year. And very well coached, 18-1. in a good week. Adams Central on lures. I mean, they're gonna pick off some people as they go a little deeper into the schedule, and there's good games coming up for them. But that's a good week, and they're number 6.
All right, top 5.
Doesn't change much.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting to that stage where people are just winning.
Yeah.
You know, and they're beating up. Not until they start seeing each other. There'll be some significant movement once we get, you know, last 3 or 4 weeks of season, last 2 or 3 weeks, I should say, sectional time. Center Grove, you know, they beat Westfield, Warren Central, Southport, Mount Vernon. You know, all of these teams have significant players, though.
Yeah.
You know, Westfield, Hughes, and those guys, very good, young, but very good. Warren Central's got the little girl that's going to Western Kentucky that Travis Hudson is really excited about. Warren Central's got Mount Vernon. Beaumont is having a great year.
I went and watched her at that Zionsville game. She was blowing.
No, everywhere I
was out low and on.
She's good. I tell you, her father was a great player, and daughter's going to be a great player. She's really coming in her own. She's kind of a late bloomer. Yeah. But all of those teams, Center Grove had players. You know, keep in mind at this level, one good player can cause you a big headache. Yeah. You know, we talked about Megan Miller. Am I keeping you awake, big fella?
I'm tired.
That's just ridiculous.
Sorry. He's gone. Long day.
That's ridiculous. Yawning on stage. It's kind of a Rip Van Winkle thing going right here. If you don't know what Rip Van Winkle was, read the book. He was this cat, laid down under a tree, slept for years, woke up with a giant beard. That's ridiculous. We need to get a new sponsor. Monster people, give me a call. No, I think that Center Grove stays at 5, but man, they're awfully good. Yeah. Awfully good.
Yep. Let's see, we got number 4.
HSE. Don't yawn on them. They're good. They're good. They need to, you know, talking to a couple of their kids today, I was really fortunate enough to work with Hubers and Jones, and you know, man, they're a good team.
Athletic.
They're great kids, though. Yeah. You know, and talking to them, I think the thing that really is critical for them, you know, I talked about Wapahani needing somebody to become the second killer on that team. Somebody else is going to have to pick up some points. Hamilton Southeastern really has to clean up their ball control and their serving. They've got 3 guys that go into the back row, and those 3 guys have got to be contributors behind the service line, meaning creating service pressure, not putting balls in play, but you can't serve balls out of bounds. They've got to serve to put pressure on people, and those 3 guys have got to handle pressure. If you ask me the most important people on the floor for HSE, I like what they're doing in the setting. I like where they're at in the middle of the court. I love their pins, feisty little left sides. Yeah. The 3 most important key kids in that group right now are the DSs. Those guys have got to score from the service line, and they got to keep people from scoring from the service line. They do that, they move up this week forward.
Yep. Number 3, undefeated.
Yorktown's 18-0. They've barely lost a set. You know, we just talked about them earlier. I think that Knuckles being out allows them to become more balanced, allows them to become less predictable. Yeah. I think that you know, what they're doing without Knuckles, what they're doing with Knuckles is remarkable. It's fun. You know, they picked off a Noblesville, a well-coached Noblesville team.
And right? Richmond's up and coming these days. They've really gotten better.
Richmond is always athletic. Got to learn a little bit more volleyball. Yeah. And
they beat Perry Meridian early in the year. So I mean, they made some strides this year.
And I'll be really honest. Noblesville is as well coached as anybody. I watched them last year, and I thought that they were as well coached as anybody in the state of Indiana. And that's just watching how huddles are done, how people are talking. You know, him and Beaumont right now are the 2 guys for me, coach of the year. You know, I love Noblesville and what they're doing. A little young, got to grow a little bit more. But Yorktown beating those 2 teams, you know, rather handily without Knuckles is really impressive. They're number 3 at 18-0.
Yeah. Number 2,
Brownsburg. You know, they beat Greenwood, they beat Avon twice.
Beat Avon 5 earlier in the week, then they beat Avon in the tournament.
Yeah.
And then 3 in that title one again.
Yeah, and Avon's lost a lot of close games, and Avon is Avon. They're going to be good. They dropped out this week, but man, you beat them, you've beaten somebody.
Yep.
But Brownsburg, the only blemish first match of the year.
Yeah.
You know, and trust me, those cats have got to be aching to get another shot.
Yeah.
But I have Brownsburgs too.
Yeah. And number one.
Yeah, they take down Lawrence North with the high flyer, Lawrence Central with the high flyer, Avon. It's always tough. You know, all they did is win. Cathedral. Cathedral, even though, you know, it's a kind of a up and down week for them. You know, all they did was win, but man, losing off. You know, I hate when youngsters get hurt.
Yep.
But it's senior year, historic year potentially. You know, the one thing I know is Audrey Adams will be as much of the part of that team now as she was as a player. And Kesterson will figure it out, but they're my number one, and I still believe in the number one team in America.
Yep. And they are. You know, like you talked about with prep volleyball. I know Max Preps now, Cathedral and Yorktown are both in the top 10. Cathedral number one, Yorktown's number 9.
Hamilton Southeastern cracked the top 100 now.
And the prep volleyball, I think Cathedral's still number one. I think Yorktown's top 25 now. HSC's in that mix. Columbus East was. I think they still are, or close to it.
Yeah,
So,
I love it.
you gotta love it. Great volleyball.
It's like I said. I don't know why in the hell you'd spend any money going and watching professional sports, you know, or anything.
$5. Take a couple bucks, use some popcorn.
I tell you, great seats, great fun, great energy. You know, like I said, I watched that for our middle school tournament a couple of weeks ago, and it's just neat to see kids play and just play for the love of the game. But no, for $5 you can catch anywhere you go.
Yep.
You could stumble into the gym anywhere in the state and see entertaining volleyball of that nature. With that said,
predictions. Floyd Central, Assumption. Which one are you going to go with your lazy boy? We'll leave that for last. Which one you found out of those three?
WAP and Alexandria.
Okay. We'll go Floyd Central, Assumption. I'm going to go Assumption just because they're lights out.
2 Hall of Fame coaches. You know, Bart Pallin and Ron Cordes. Ron Cordes, too much firepower, too much ball control for Floyd Central. Floyd Central, like I said, rebuilding, trying to, you know, reclaim the glory years. Don't feel sorry for Floyd Central. They're going to be really, really good, but they can't beat Assumption.
Yep.
Assumption's too good.
Zionsville HSC. I kind of get that Zionsville just kind of talking about those guys. They are the HSC of last year. Like you keep heading on with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Year away, maybe. Still lots of youth there. HSC, I think they're at their place. You know, Jason's going to be fired up, jumping around like he normally does.
I like that.
And
Kiki Jones on the staff.
I love how energetic those guys get. And Jason's the real deal. Going to HSC.
HSC. HSC, even though I like that, the Eisenbarger kid can light it up, can get hot in a hurry, well set, well passed. I just think it's a year away.
Yeah.
A year away. And Don, that baby's not a year away, so don't sweat it. You're going to be okay.
Probably 24 hours.
You know, that's amazing, man. But, you know, I think HSC too much for Zionsville.
Lazy boy, get off your butt.
If you're going to get off, if you're in East Central Indiana, you probably need to get off your butt and go watch Wapahani and Alexandria.
Yeah, before the injuries, everything with WAP. I mean, this was the number 1, number 2 matchup right there at the state of 2A.
Yeah.
WAP, Alexandria. This was interesting. This one I didn't really think about until last second here.
I'm amazed you're still awake. That's just.
I'm going WAP. And the only reason I say that, like you talked about, a little more physical than Alexandria, but I have no doubt Megan Miller will put on a show. And
she
could easily, like you talked about, single-handedly, you know, the Hughesers of the world, the Sloans of the world, Robinsons, everybody else. She could easily win that game. Just taking.
She can't take it over.
And like you talk about the Sutton factor.
Yeah, there's certain kids in the state that if they get going, man, watch out.
Yeah.
And this kid, you know, Megan Miller can impact the game from anywhere.
Yeah.
She can light you up service-wise, and that kind of would scare me a little if I'm Wapahani because I still think their ball control is a little suspect.
They're physical.
Yeah, and I think that if Miller goes off 30 feet from the net, from behind the service line, you know, this could be really entertaining. But Megan Miller is the type of kid that could, she could give you a headache. She could make for a long night. You know, Wapahani, Alexandria, I like Wapahani only because they've been in more big games. You know, that Alec group, I think, is they toughen up their schedule and get comfortable and get used to playing big games. They're, man, next couple of years are going to be dangerous. I just said Wapahani's played more big games, been involved in higher level play, and so I go Wapahani in that one as well.
All right, that's all we got this week.
You guys have a good week. Randy will probably wake up by next week, and then we'll see what we got going for you. Have a beautiful week.
Oh,